Maathrey namaha. The divine blessings of our divine parents. We are continuing to discuss the very, very powerful Soundarya Lahari. And in the journey, we have continued and have come up to 65th Slokam, which we discussed in the last class. We tried recording the 64th Slokam a couple of times, but we couldn't progress through because 64th is very logically connected to the 66th Slokam, and therefore Mother is allowing us to discuss 64th and 66th both together today. Before we dive in, we'll offer our prayers to the divine energies that continue to guide, enable, and protect us. Srikanto Matlo Sujani Sarvamangalajankaha Shankaro Mahadeva Tvam Vande Gajananam Vimlapati Kamlakuti Pustaka Rudrakshasastastapati Kamakshi Pakshmalakshi Kalita Vipanchi Vibhasi Vairinchi Manojavam Marutulyu Vegam Jitendriyam Bhutipatam Rishtam Vatatmajam Vandutamukam Sri Ramadutam Sirsa Namami Apadama Partaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Sri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Sri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulям Rama Nama Varane ज्ञानानंदमयं देवं निर्मल स्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हैग्रीवम् उपास्महे शिवशक्त्या युक्तो यदि भवति शक्तः प्रभवितुं न चेदेवं देवो न खलु कुशलः स्पन्दितुमपि अतस्त्वाम् आराध्यां हरि हर विरिञ्चादिभिरपि प्रणन्तुं स्तोतुं वा कथमकृतपुण्यः प्रभवति गुरुवे सर्वलोकानां विश्वजे भवरोगिणां निधे सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः न गुरोरधिकं न गुरोरधिकं न गुरोरधिकं जय जय शंकर हर हर शंकर. The 64th Slokam and the 66th Slokam both talk about mother's tongue and the power of mother's speech. This is very closely connected with the 64th, the 65th, and the 66th are connected, where Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya and the 65th Slokam that we discussed last week shows mother is Tambula Puritamukhi. She is eating the Tambulam, which is a great Suhasini symbol. When a woman eats the betel leaves that are offered to the mother as a prasadam, the husband and the family and the lineage gets protected. So the biggest prasadam that one can offer to mother is tambulam. Typically, the way this tambulam needs to be offered is you take 3 betel leaves, wash them up, take the head and the tail of the leaves, which is basically the betel leaf is connected to, it's a creeper, so it's connected to the gentle stem. So you take them out and you take the edge, tail edge also of the leaves. And then the way I do is I take edible turmeric and write with my middle and ring fingers, okay, because in the Go Dhenu Mudra, you can use only thumb and middle and ring fingers. Index and little finger cannot be used in dhyana and the other functions that have to do with the divine typically. And there's a reason, right? There's because prana, apana, samana, udhana, vyana. Right? Apana is an energy that is working, trying to expel the waste, urine, stool, right? And the gases that have to escape the body, the digestive gases. So apana vayu, we don't want to get it activated, because anytime air leaves the body from navel down, or even when you are doing any puja, if you are belching, okay, if you are coughing, if you are sneezing, these are unnatural exits of air. Immediately you have to take your right hand and touch the ear and think about the Ganga 3 times. Why it is that we do that? Because Janu Maharishi, through his ear, Jahnavi has come through the right ear of his, and he is our ancestor, Janu Maharishi. That's the reason Ganga Ma or Ganga Mata gets the name Jahnavi. So when we touch our right ear, we are invoking that Jahnu Maharishi in us, and therefore trying to get Ganga which has touched Shiva. Therefore, Ganga can and has the pavitrata, the holiness to cleanse us. Apavitro pavitrova. When this is the mantra we say, Antar Bahir Suchihi, the inner and external. If you don't know the mantra, there's absolutely no problem. You can think, touch the ear, Ganga, Ganga, Ganga. Okay, that is the reason we don't use the index finger. Prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana. Vyana basically causes us laziness. Sometimes see you stretch your hands when you are yawning, right? When you are doing the Devakaryas, Devakarya Samudyata, you are supposed to be alert. So we don't typically activate the index finger and the little finger. Then you might ask me, then why are we holding in Dhyana Mudra or Jnana Mudra? These two. There, with prana, you're trying to bring in apana. Prana is an energy that is rising up. Apana is an energy that is typically going down. So you are trying to neutralize the going down energy. This is the reason in Vedas, all the vratas, all the pujas are prescribed to be done on an empty stomach or on a light stomach. So the apana one vayu does not get activated, therefore pushing you to go to the bathroom. Okay, this is the reason when you do prana and apana, you balance it out. What happens is the apana air, which is extremely important for the body to remove all the toxicity and waste, gets balanced, and prana infuses life into the organs, breathing in prana, oxygen into the organs, therefore protecting them. The organs will continue to stay in a state of ease. If they're not in a state of ease, then they drift into dis-ease. Okay. So using these ring and middle fingers, whichever your favorite name of mother. If your favorite name of mother is Lalita, you will dip your finger into the haldi, edible turmeric, and write Lalita gently on the each of the leaves. I write Sree Mata in each of the leaves, and then put all the three together. Offer little jaggery, then little betel nut powder, cardamom or ilachi, right? And a couple of dry fruits like kismis, cashew, almonds, walnut, and then I put edible camphor, and then I put lavanga or clove, and then offer it to mother along with whatever prasadam we have. With the tambulam, you have to keep water. In that water, you have to put a little jaggery. You have to put, very importantly, one string at least of the kunkuma puvu. And then this is the Maha Naivedyam for mother. Okay. Tambula Purtamuki. When you offer that and eat that prasadam and offer it to whoever is interested at home, you will start seeing the difference on how your tongue starts to pick up the Vedic knowledge, the spiritual knowledge. I've been doing this for at least last 15 years, and I see how mother continues to enable me as her instrument, right? If an ignorant one like me is being enabled, all the devotees and devoted people like all of you who are taking time on Sundays and other days, in spite of your busy schedules, sky is the only limit, right? So, and quite interestingly, today I didn't plan, I mean, I never planned to discuss any of these things because I can't speak if I plan. I have to just offer a prayer at the feet of the divine parents and surrender myself. So the tongue is taken over by mother and she chooses to talk. And today, this prasada secret on how the reason it's called secret is because you don't necessarily discuss. These are very personal affairs on between you and your divine, right? So that's the reason they're typically secretive. But she is the one who chooses to enable. So she is the one who chooses to reveal Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. So even if people listen to them, not necessarily everybody will implement, because again, she chooses on who can be enabled further. Their karmas become an obstacles between them and others. Therefore, a lot of times, though we know we have to do a lot of things, we don't implement them. Therefore, there is an achara dosha. We don't implement. Therefore, who's important? Dronacharya, Bhishmacharya. Acharya means they have implemented and have shown it on how it needs to be done. A guru who does not do things and talks about those things will be a Nishiddha guru, a guru who's not supposed to be followed, because he himself, she herself are not following those. Therefore, they are becoming ritualistic. But we need a guru who can lead us on Divyacharam. For example, a lot of people ask me about Tantra. The moment they hear Tantra, they only think about all bad things. And that's the conditioning of the mind. There's no fault of them. For example, in Tantra, typically people have seen people doing pujas, sitting on dead bodies, something called Shavasadhana. People hold skulls. Is that true? It is true. Okay. But is that meant for everyone? Not for everyone. It is like bathing in Ganga River. When you bathe in Ganga River at Varanasi, majority of people are able to breathe in. But if you go to Haridwar, the same Ganga, if you try to take a dip, you will get dragged. Because you're getting dragged, can you deny the fact that it is not Ganga? It is Ganga. You don't have the capability to bathe in it, right? That's your limitation. And in Tantra, there are different ways to understand Tantra. As I often keep repeating, what is Tantra? Mantra, Yantra, Tantra. If you have a television, that is the Yantra. The television is controlled remotely by a remote. So that is mantra. Knowing which button to press on the remote to get the desired outcome, change the channel, you have to change the channel button. Increase the volume, fine tune, increase the brightness. You need to know which button to be pressed. Knowing which button to press on the remote, knowing how to use the mantras, all bijaksharas are only in the tantric form. If you take a Gayatri mantra, there is no bijakshara. If you take a Rudra Namaka Chamkam, there is no bijakshara. Veda does not have bijaksharas. So we all have, in some or the other form, have chanted Om is a big bijakshara that all of us chant. So we have been doing Tantra without our knowledge. And what is Tantra? Tantra is that which has existed even before Vedas have come. What is Veda? When the Sapta Rishis have focused on Dakshinamurti's breath, the sound that they have heard is Veda. Okay, that is the reason Vedas are always learned in oral tradition and are continued. But even before the Saptarishis heard the Shiva's breath, Mother Parvati has asked Shiva a lot of things. Like we discussed, Sri Rama Rama Rameti. People who can't chant the whole Vishnu Sahasranamam have a shortcut. Recall Rama's name, and therefore you'll be blessed with thousandfold effect, as if you are chanting Vishnu Sahasranama. All these secrets have come to us. These are all Tantra. Okay. Now, Tambulam, the tongue, are very strongly connected that we discussed. And today, therefore, Mother revealed on what is her best prasadam that we can offer to her in order to eat and therefore get materially rich, spiritually enriched, and lead our own family into the spiritual progress. The beauty of Srividya is it gives us material riches. It gives us, leads us to the moksha as well. There is no other vidya that can give both. That is the reason Sri Vidya is the best for Grihastha people. It gives ihasukas, parasukas also. Sukas, pleasures that are required for this planet, and pleasures that are required beyond. So it helps the body, it helps the soul. Now, coming to the shlokam, the 64th one, Avishrantyam Patyur Guna gana kata mredana japa, japa pushpa chaya, tava janani jihva yatisa. Avishrantyam patyur guna gana kada mredana japa. What does it mean? Avishrantam means restless. Incessantly is the right word, without stopping. Vishranti or Vishranta means break. Avishrantam means without break. Patyur guna gana kada. Pati is husband. Gunas and ganas. Guna gana kada mredana japa. You are constantly doing japa of your husband's gunas and ghanas. Guna gada kada medan japa. Japa pushpa chaya tava janani jihva jayatisa. Tava janani, my mother's, our mother's. Jihva means tongue. How is it? Japa pushpa chaya means pushpa chaya, the color of the pushpa. Which pushpa? Japa pushpa. Japa pushpa, essentially mandaram or hibiscus, is called japa pushpa because how do we know japa pushpa is hibiscus? If you ever offered a hibiscus flower to any Divya Mangala Murti of mother or father or any god you pray to or goddess you pray to, as the flower wilts, as it wilts overnight, you see the flower holds the Murti. Okay. And when you take out the flower the next morning before sunrise or after sunset, a lot of times when if you're not gentle enough in removing the flower will drag the Murti that it is attached to. That is the reason Mandara is always called Japa Pushpam, means when we do Japa, we should hold on to the Devata or Devi that we are praying to through our Japa mantras, like a Mandara flower. Not only during our heydays when everything is going very well, we are in Sukhas, but when tough times come, we have to hold. When we become old, we have to hold. When our end approaches, how will we hold if we don't train and practice when we are young? So that is the reason Japa Pushpa Chaya Tava Janani Jihva Jayatisa. Jihva Jayatisa means your tongue is as red as the red mandara flower. Okay, Avishrantyam Patyur Gunaganakara made as Japa. Japa Pushpa Chaya Tava Janani Jihva Jayatisa. And why is your tongue so red? You are eating tambulam. When we sleep and wake back up, our tongue continues to generate plaque that we clean it with the tongue cleaner. Mother's tongue is constantly chanting Shiva, 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 Shankar, 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 Shankar. She is meditating on Shiva using Omkaram. Omkaram Bindu Samyuktam. Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginaha. She is Mahayogini. Okay, she is chanting on that Omkaram, which is Nirakara Rupam of Paramashiva. This is the reason Soundarya Lahari starts with Shiva, the word Shiva. Shiva means Mangala Karaka, the one who is full of auspiciousness. When mother is constantly chanting her husband's name, nothing forms on her tongue because the tongue is constantly moving with the japa. But we discussed in Para, Pashanti, Madhyama, Vaikari, we should not move our tongue when we go into deep meditation. Then why is mother's tongue moving? Because that comes in the 66th shloka. Mother's tongue is moving. Who are serving mother? Sachamara Rama Vani, Savya Dakshina Sevita. To the right of mother is Saraswati. To the left of mother is Mahalakshmi. Sachamara Rama Vani. Rama is Lakshmi, Vani is Saraswati, to the right and left. Okay, which means when you have Saraswati onto your right, you have knowledge, you have Jnanam, you have Vaksiddhi. When your Vaksiddhi, your Jnanam, your knowledge are continuing to fuel your earnings, you will never be worried. If not this job, another job. If not this skill, the other skill. But if you are depending on others to generate Lakshmi. For example, you have started a business and that business grew without your knowledge. How will it grow without your knowledge? You would have done a lot of hard work, but the business that you started, for example, let's say somebody started a small tea shop. Okay. That tea shop is growing very big and becoming a countrywide chain. The skills that you had to run a tea stall won't help you run the tea chain stall across the countries. You need to bring in people who have the knowledge of how to advertise, how to maintain the cash, how to maintain the software, how to have the network connectivity, what to sell in Karnataka versus Andhra Pradesh versus Madhya Pradesh versus Jammu and Kashmir. You can't be selling the same thing. So that Saraswati, that knowledge is important. Knowledge, money backed by knowledge will always be fearless. But money backed without knowledge always causes fear. Therefore, people who are ignorant, and suddenly you see some landlords who have a lot of land banks, and suddenly the price for the lands rises through, and they become extremely rich because of some good karmas that they have done. But they'll always be worried. Glaring example is people who have one Kaun Barega Crorepati who wants to be a millionaire. You look at what happened to them after 3 4 years, they'll again become poor people because they became rich because of some good karmas, but they don't have the Saraswati functioning in them. Therefore their money gets eroded away over a period of time. Therefore they become how they were in the past. That is the reason it's extremely important for to have Sachamar Ramani Savyadakshina Sevita. Now, the 66th slokam, what does it say? The 66th slokam says, Vipancha Gayanti. Vipancha Gayanti Vividam Apadanam Pashupate Vipancha Gayanti. Saraswati, who's playing the Veena. What is the Veena's name? Her Veena's name is Saraswati's Veena's name is Vipancha Gayanti Vividam Apadanam Pashupate. So the Veena that Saraswati Devi is playing is nothing but our backbone. In you, in me, she is playing her gentle fingers on the spinal cord where we have all the chakras. The chakras are the steps of Veena. If you have seen a Veena, depending on where you keep your finger, one hand, and strike the strings, the sound comes through. So, in our body chakras, we have Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi, Agya, and Sahasratalam. Based on where we are focusing, the Bijaksharas are different. For example, as an example, Lang is the sound that you hear in Muladhara. Okay. The way to chant these Bijaksharas, if you read anywhere, you will read it as Lam. But Lam is not the right pronunciation. This is an example of Tantra. Knowing how to pronounce the Bijakshara. Every Bijakshara needs to be pronounced differently. For example, when you are talking and chanting Visarga, the two dots, Swaha, Guruhu, the same Visarga is pronounced based on what it is following or what it is preceding. Knowing how to pronounce these is Tantra. Om. It's not Om. It's Om. Sounds like an Ong with a nasal sound where you don't know whether it's Ma or Ga. Okay. This is Tantra. Now, Vipancha Gayanti Vividam Apadanam Pashupate. Saraswati Devi is playing the Veena standing next to Mother Goddess Lalita. What is she discussing? She is talking about, Mother, do you know how Tarakasura, who was the Rakshasa, great yogi, and he saw Shiva was without a obvious physical Shakti after Mother Goddess Sati sacrificed herself. And he did tapasya. Tarakasura did tapasya for Brahma when Brahma appeared, just like other Rakshasas. He asked, I should not die. Brahma said, not possible, my dear son. You came into Matsyaloka. Matsyaloka, the Bhuloka is called Mahasmasanam. That is the reason, since Mahakala and Kali rule this planet. If you look at Kali's Gayatri, it says Samsana Vasinya or Smasana Vasinya Vidmahi. She is ruling the planet. right? Graveyard is not something where bodies are burnt or buried. People don't go to graveyards to die. People die in houses, people die in roads, people die in hospitals, people die everywhere, but their bodies are burned down or buried based on the rituals in the graveyards. This is the reason in our Vedas, the four places where one can do sadhana peacefully, house is least preferred for sadhana. Reason being, there are a lot of energy mixes at house. Okay, the but since in Grahasthashrama we can't go to all these places, we have to set a room that will help. But what are the four places? If you see, the first place is by the flowing river. If you look at our rishis, they have set up their ashramas by a flowing river all the time. Okay, one is a flowing river. Two is a cave, Vasista Gufa. If you go to Himalayas, you'll see a lot of caves where all these rishis have meditated. Virupaksha Guha, if you go to Arnachalam, you will see where Bhagavan Ravana Maharshi has chanted, meditated. That's the reason caves are the next ones. Third is by the beach and ocean. Dhanushkodi, Rameshwaram, and if you go to Gokarnam, many saints, Maharishis actually set up their ashramas by Samudra Tiras. That's the third one. Fourth one is graveyards. Graveyards are the place where the body are becoming Panchabhautikam, the union of the bodies where we have come from. It's a portal to the other place. And that is the reason graveyards are very holy, but not everybody will have the courage to go. And what does Tantra do? Tantra breaks the conditioning of our mind. What is that everyone is scared of? Let me talk about myself. Maybe not all of you are scared. I was very scared of death. Okay. 2018 is when I had the Divya Darshanam of Mother directly. I was confused thinking it was a dream. And the first time she gave her darshanam to me, it was in the form of Kalaratri. And for next 28 months, every night I trembled, not just with fear, because I could not look at that rupam and grasp, right? Eggs. If you Google and see the Kalaratri rupam, you will understand. And I never prayed to Kalaratri consciously. I from 2008 I only prayed to Lalita Devi. Okay, no Kali, no Kalaratri, no other form. But then, I have done sadhanas in my previous lives, and very early on, I listed this in my podcast also. When, as a 6 year old, 7 year old, I would go to cricket ground to play. Next to it, there used to be a graveyard. I would sit in the Shiva temple, Nilakanteshwara temple, and look at the bodies being burnt and would chant some mantras that I was, very natural, normal mantras, nothing extraordinary. So when I had the darshan of Kalaratri and I woke back up at around 3:50 a.m. in the morning with my whole body trembling, okay? And I clearly remember, I thought it's a dream, but in the dream, the Kalaratri mother was taking my left hand into her mouth and gently biting. When I opened my eyes, I saw a bite mark. Okay, near my left wrist, there is a mole, and around that there was a half moon kind of a bite mark, gently, not wild. And this happened in Bangalore, where I also posted with all of you the Ganapati, the Omkaram, and the Rudra Trisula Mantram that have, the God has been kind to show the evidence. That was in 2019 when in the Homas, Ganapati, Omkaram, and Trisulam have, have allowed us to capture. If they don't allow us to capture, we can never capture them, right? For next 28 months, actually, almost 30 months, not even 28, I would not switch off the light in my room when I would sleep. After I sleep, if my mom was there, she would come switch it off. I would do my night sadhanas, meditation, and then switch off the light. And I would often ask mother, why did you even come to me in that form? There was always silence, right? And but then I had a huge fear about death. I had a huge fear of, you know, doing some of the meditations, and I was always questioning these things. How can I pray to Kali in that form? You know, what do they mean by doing some of these sadhanas at the graveyards, right? And I have done it some of those myself, before I have done without my knowledge because of my past janmas connections. And I actually sat in the graveyards and meditated on some of the mantras very, very, very young, right? 6, 7 year old. And then last 2, 3 years, whenever some of the group members have been coming, accompanying me to Varanasi, when we go to Varanasi, we sit by the either one of the whole place Varanasi is where it's called Mahashamshan, right? And you see the bodies are being burned. And people who have come with me, when they sit in meditation, many of them burst out crying. Next 2, 3 hours, they cry and they have a transformation saying, one day our bodies will also be burnt like this. How much time I have wasted. My clock is ticking away, and they transform. So the power of the transformation in a graveyard is extremely powerful, extremely powerful. Okay. When you actually go to Kasi, make the opportunity to sit when you come out of the main temple of Kasi. Now you have the Manikarnika Ghat where the bodies have been being burnt in from 1960 incessantly. You don't have to get into the graveyard. You sit by the main temple where you are seeing the bodies being burned, and you just sit there and watch for 20 minutes and see the transformation that happens in you, right? Now, the reason Tantra is often misunderstood is there is after Woodruff, an American who actually came to India and has researched about Devi and has written books like The Serpentine Power, the Pancha Makaras in the Vamacharam. In Tantra, people think it's only Vamacharam. Okay. And Vamacharam is not bad. Everybody who is married, who had tasted physical sexual union, is a Vamachari. Okay. We talk about Matsya. Matsya is fish. Maithunam is the physical union. Madira or alcohol, the intoxication, these have different connotations. One should be intoxicated with the divine bliss, not the alcohol. Drinking alcohol is easy to get intoxicated, so people try to take it. That's where you start, but that's not where you end. This is the reason you offer, alcohol to Kala Bhairava in Ujjain, saying, "This is where my level is. Please take me to the divine intoxication. Don't let me stop here." Okay. When people are in a physical union, the sexual union, why do people long for physical union? That is the nearest samadhi state that one can experience without his or her knowledge of mantra, Veda, or any other tantra, bija mantras. No. When the bodies are in a physical union, the brain becomes absolutely thoughtless. That is the reason people crave for physical union. It's not bodily pleasure. They their souls have tasted that samadhi before as well. And therefore they are longing for the samadhi, misunderstanding it to be sexual physical union. That is the reason after a physical union, the body gets exhausted. But there is an element of calmness in the plane of mind. Now, when you start to get into spirituality, you'll be able to take 2 steps back and detach yourself, saying, "What am I longing after the physical union? I am longing for that element of calmness." If there are other ways on how to get that calmness, then you will start exploring. That is the reason meditation becomes a pathway which gives what we call something like an orgasmic pleasure, much more intense, much more sustainable. So after a meditation, one feels more charged up and not discharged. One feels more activated. One feels more energy because in a meditative or a samadhi state, the energy is ascending up. In a sexual union, the energy is descending down. The prana and apana vayus are pushing the reproductive fluids out of the body, saying, this samadhi state can no longer be sustained. So get back to your reality. So mother in the form of Maya expels the reproductive fluids, therefore trying to bring us back to the normal existence where we continue to get engulfed by Maya. But once you start analyzing, therefore, in Tantra, there are certain sadhanas which are done with partners, but everyone who is married, that is the reason in the marriage, a woman or a girl that is given in Kanyadanam to a boy has to do the Gauri Puja, because in her she invokes, she becomes the kshetram, she becomes the divine womb in which the lineage will continue. In Kanyadanam, in the Sanatana Dharma, when Kanyadanam is being done, a piece of sandalwood will be given to the groom, to the boy's side. Now, in the boy's side, from the lineage, a stone on which that sandalwood paste is being taken out is coming from generations. That plate or the rock plate on which the sandalwood is being turned into paste is a representation of the boy and the lineage. The girl is represented by the sandalwood. The sandalwood keeps reducing because the girl is born in a different gotram. She has come and changed her gotram and became one with this family, which whose gotram has remained constant. And she her life is being consumed, and she is spreading the fragrance. Her life is being consumed, she's spreading fragrance that is being applied to the divine. Therefore, unless a daughter-in-law puts the lamp when the father-in-law or mother-in-law passes away, the right is not with her own daughter or her own son. The daughter-in-law, who is the sandalwood, whose life is being consumed, born in some family, changed the gotra, has come into this family, and has turned from a girl to a woman to a mother, extending the lineage of this family. So when she lights the lamp, the Pitru Devata's lights will be lit, and therefore women has such a powerful role. Why is that? The name Sree itself, Sakara, Takara, Rakara, Sree, Sree. You cannot pronounce it with Sa, you cannot pronounce it with Ta, you cannot pronounce it with Ra. Sattva, Tamo, Rajogunas. Sattva Guna, trying to control the animal instincts in husband, because men by design are lust animals. Okay, this is not the time to enjoy the bodily desires. What is not the time? When the sun is up, the bodily desire should not be caved into. Okay, if we are caving into it, that's the animals that are taking over us. So women controls sattva guna. This is the time to do puja, this is the time to eat food. She brings in a lot of discipline. Tamo gunam, this is the time to sleep, ensuring kids go to bed at a defined time, trying to instill, putting sattva and tamo together. Rajogunam, this is the time to buy a property. She is the best counsel a husband can get, best advisor. Why don't we invest? We already have two houses. Why should we keep increasing our material property? Why don't we invest, something dharmic, something sanatanic, which gives us returns? And so she becomes the good counsel. Men by themselves will not have the good counsel without the sakara, takara, rakara. Rajoguna, when to grow, when to control, how to retain, how to spend. The restraint power is what a Sree has. Purusha doesn't have that. Okay. So a man shows his love for a woman by the way he cares for her. A woman shows her love by sharing her love with the family or the man. Okay, so both express love very differently. Now, this is basically tantra in unfolding, when you are able to look at your conditioning and come over your conditioning. Number one, come over your fears. Okay, when I had the darshan of Mother Goddess Kalaratri, I couldn't, every night I would tremble, maybe with fear, maybe with saying, Mother, I couldn't really look at you And what was the meaning of your bite mark on my left hand? For a very long time, I was very conflicted about Tantra. I was very conflicted about thinking, oh, this is all somebody made up all these things, and these are not necessarily the right things, and these don't work. I used to have a lot of conditioning of my mind, but in 2018, when mother actually gave me that sakshatkaram and made me experience through, a lot of that conditioning went away. And then she sent a guru. She just did not give me the darshanam and leave it there with my conditioning of the mind. To uncondition my conditioning mind, she sent a guru my way who initiated me into the Samahavidyas and has shown me the logic on why these are done. Why you use a skull in praying. I don't use a skull at home in praying, but antarmukha samaradhya bahirmukha sudurlabha, right? But even if you use a skull and bone, what is the importance of it? Right, and how that unconditioning goes back. This is not for everyone. Not everybody, is ready to do those things. But since mother, maybe I've been doing these things from my past lives with a questioning and doubting mind, so she enables us based on how we need to be enabled. And with that, she removed a majority of my fear. I'll not say I got over my full fear of death. I still think, what would happen if I leave the body and go? How would my family survive? All those things. But the primary fear of death, she has taken away majority of it. Okay. I should not suffer. When the time comes, mother, I should go like a flower, right? When I'm doing meditation and prayer for you, please make me one with you. That's the kind of thoughts that she instills now, because all of us have to go at one or the other day. That's what Tantra does. And what is that we fear the most? We fear a dead body. When a dear husband or a dear wife passes away, immediately our addressing them changes. It's no longer the name. Okay. When are we taking away the body? The identity of a name given to it. For example, there's a person by the name John, and that John passes away. Okay. We don't say when are we taking John to the graveyard. We'll say when are we taking the body or dead body to the graveyard. The identity of John that is given to the living being is gone. Immediately, that wife who lived with him for 30, 35, 40 years does not want to keep the body at home. It will start stinking. That is the reality. So this is what Tantra does. Okay. Now, when coming back to the 65th Slokam, we are talking about Vipancha Gayanti. When Saraswati is playing on us, she is singing the Shiva Leelas to Mother. Does Mother not know? What is the importance of this to us? When Saraswati is playing the Veena in us, she is invoking the Jnana Shakti in us. When the Jnana Shakti invokes, we tend to look at our conditioning of mind. Oh, this is not how I should pray. That person is sitting in the graveyard and praying. Now that's very bad. Who are you and I to judge? You and I don't have the power. Why should I say you? I don't have the power to bathe in Ganga at Haridwar. That doesn't mean it's not Ganga. When you use a mobile phone, I use a mobile phone. Do you and I become the mobile phone ourselves? We don't. Mobile phone is an instrument that gives us the capability to call someone, access the knowledge, access the good content, bad content, ugly content. You can get sucked into watching YouTube shorts, Instagram, and other things that will consume your time. You can use it to listen to a great saints pravachanam, a great devotee's experiences. There are so many people, right? Like Samvel, Shanmukha Garu, and there are many, Chagant Koteshwarao, right? There are many people that share a lot of divine experiences, Nanduri, and we can use this access to get to it. Tantra is like a mobile phone in your hand. When you have the bijakshas, bija mantras, when you keep chanting, you are maintaining a spiritual bank balance for you. Can I not chant a Vishnu Sahasranam and Lalita Sahasranam? You can, absolutely. That also gives you bank balance. But what happens in Tantra, the bijakshras, is you have a mango fruit. What is that you enjoy? You enjoy the pulp of the mango. You remove the skin, you eat the pulp, you throw away the seed. But it is the seed that ensures the next generation mango plant comes, therefore ensuring your next generation, their next generation continues to have mango trees which can give plants. Okay. The mantras in Veda are like the essence of the mango pulp. The rituals that we do are the skin of the mango. The rituals should take us to the mantras. When we are chanting the mantra, we should get lost in the essence of the divine. When we lose ourselves in the divine, a bijakshara will come searching for us. It could be a bala mantram, a panchadasi, a shodakshari, a panchakshari, astakshari, whichever it is. When you chant, when you start chanting these bijaksharas, doesn't matter whether you are chanting one time, two times, three times initially. The more you chant, the more you are pouring water in a fertile soil and nourishing sunlight on it. It will continue to germinate in your lineage. When your time comes, you leave, and then the next person comes. I'm being reminded of a great story my Guruji has said. In the forest, there was a hunter who was hunting for animals. That day, he did not find any animals until it was very late in the evening. As he was going back home, he saw there was a tantric, Kapalika tantric. In Tantra, also, there are many types. Kapalika tantrics are the ones who are going around using the skulls, kapalas, right? Appears very ferocious to others because nobody likes to befriend death. Okay, therefore, Shiva is the one who befriended Yama, first killed him, then made him the god of death, saying, you have to, I am Mahakal and you are Kal. Now, this Kapalika was sitting on a dead body and doing something what we call the Seva Sadhana. Why sitting on a dead body? This is the actual meaning on sitting on a dead body is when a person watches a dead body very closely, they get something called Smasana Vairagyam, saying one day my body will also be lying lifeless like this and it will be consumed by the fire. But now I still have life. I am watching myself in this dead body. Therefore, let me make hay while sun shines. And there are certain mantras and kriyas that one has to be initiated into without which we can't even discuss. They perform. So this Kapalika was doing the Shava Sadhana, sitting on the dead body, and he was chanting a mantra loudly. Okay, this hunter who was watching all of this sitting on a tree was noticing very, very keenly what is going on. Looked very interesting. Little scary, but interesting as well. The Kapalika is saying some mantras and pouring some things, some materials onto the face of the dead body. And then suddenly out of nowhere, a tiger came, killed the tantric, dragged him out, and took him away. Everything this hunter is witnessing. He went and he something in him told, why don't you do this sadhana? You heard the mantra. And he did not know what that Kapalika was doing and putting on the face. So all he did was he sat on the dead body and he said the mantra 5 times. Just 5 times. One, two, three, four, 5 times. I can't reveal that mantra because it needs initiation. And then immediately a ferocious form of Kali that we call Smasana Kali appeared in front of him. He started trembling. Then mother reduced her intensity. Even then it was quite intense for him. Then she blessed him, saying, you have nothing to fear, my son. You prayed me using this mantra, so I came in this form. Then he said, what is this Maya? That person was sitting and praying to you. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a tiger has come and eaten him up. And I am sitting here, I just said this mantra 5 times, and you appeared. She smiled and said, you have done this sadhanas in the previous life. When you are 5 mantra chants away from awakening my energy, your death came and consumed. Mahakal sent Kal because your time was over. In this Janma, again, because your samskaras, the time has come for you to get my darshan. Therefore, you did not get any hunt of animals today in the forest. As you are walking, this Kapalika, who is doing the sadhana, was eaten by the tiger, and today the time has come to give you darshana. And you have prayed to me in this Ugra Rupam. Kalis are many forms. Bhadrakali, safe. Bhadra means protects us. Rudrakali, she is mad at those people who are trying to disturb us, who are trying to deviate us, who are trying to distract us. Smasana Kali, she is the one who essentially rules the planet Earth. In Kurukshetra Yuddham, Krishna prays to Smasana Kali and saying, Mother, starting from tomorrow, I have to help Arjuna and Pandavas kill a lot of adharmics. Please empower me with your power so I can continue to guide the Pandavas to kill. Therefore, if you go to Kurukshetram, there's a Bhadrakali temple. So he invoked the Smasana Kali and said, You be the Bhadra for us, you protect us. You be the Rudra. Whoever is coming at us and trying to shoot the arrows, you try to protect us as a shield, and you become the Smasana Kali for others because you have to bring the end to them. Okay. Now, when Saraswati is playing Vipancha Gayanti, she is enabling the knowledge in us. Now, a lot of people would want to learn Tantra to experiment with it. I can tell you my experience. I've seen my guru show some siddhas or siddhis to me. Like he could walk on water. It all sounds nonsense unless you see it firsthand. You have to experience this. These are all experiential learnings. This cannot be, science and rational logic cannot be applied to it. And I've seen them firsthand, therefore I'm sharing with you on how my journey started. Not necessarily everybody's journey has to start the same way, right? And there's a patient who suffered a fracture and her leg was to be amputated. And my Gurubai treated that leg, which was to be amputated. She was taken to the operation theater, and he got to know and he treated her with kasturi and cow dung. She is not only alive, her leg is still intact, not amputated. She is able to walk with a limping leg, and the doctor who treated and challenged that she will never be able to grow the muscle back because in allopathic medicine, muscles never grow back once they are, gangrened or they die. But the muscle not only grew 40% back, not 100%, 40% back. That lady is still walking with that leg 1997, right? So it would be 30 years in next 2 years, 28 years. Now she's alive and walking. I've seen many, where a Guruji was sitting in dhyana and started levitating, not 5, 6 feet, right? About 10 centimeters from the ground. He was sitting in Padmasana and deep meditation and samadhi. He was levitating. I've seen this firsthand. And then I wanted to get those siddhis myself. Okay. As a 16, 17-year-old, I wanted to get those supernatural powers. So I told Guruji that, I want to be initiated into this. He smiled and said, we can never initiate you because you want to get siddhis, right? We can only initiate you if you are destined. So he initiated me into some of, the mantras, and he said, no matter which mantra you're initiated into, you'll get siddhis. Okay, but you have to start getting into a state of transcendental meditation where you are able to go beyond and above your body. And so my journey started that way. And then there came a time where I started praying to Mother. I said, I don't want any siddhis. If I am destined and if I deserve a siddhi also, please ensure that I don't get the siddhi. But the only boon and blessing that I ask is no matter where I am, no matter what I am doing, I should always chant your name. I should always do your puja. And I'm not at that level. Recently, when I was traveling back from US, as I sat in the flight, the flight took off 10 minutes into the flight. I had severe pain in the left side of my chest, not at the heart, but at the lower part of the rib. I had a diaphragm catch because I was traveling crazy across the time zones and not sleeping enough. And immediately I stood up in the plane, right? I was trying to stretch body reflexes. And in 10 seconds, my body ribs down became extremely loose. I thought I will fall down in the flight because I just lost control of my body, or so I felt. And in 10 seconds or so, I just caught hold of the chair and trying to protect myself. If I fall down, also do minimal injury. So I'm trying to, body is naturally instinctive, right? It acts. And then in 4 or 5 seconds, I regained back my control on the lower body and I did not fall down. And then I realized during that time, not once I chanted the name of the mother that I keep repeating like a parrot. Okay. And I smiled. I said, and this was right after I was initiated into Kali Sadhana, like I shared with all of you in the group in the West Coast when I was traveling. And then mother showed me that, my dear son, you are making efforts, but your efforts are not yet at that level. When your body went into a state of severe pain, you didn't even, you couldn't even think of me. So that is a level, not even a stage zero I'm at, right? When my body was wriggling in pain for that 30, 40 seconds, I didn't think of the divine name, not even once. That is where I am. Okay. Now, this is a great realization for me. This is how mother shows that how many miles and kilometers I have to go even before I call myself a Devi devotee, right? So that's the reason that's a great test for all of us. When Saraswati is playing Veena in us means capability to realize when we walk the path of spirituality, we'll get an ego. We'll get an aham. Everybody is doing namaste. Everybody calls you Guruji. Everybody calls you saying, oh, you have so many experiences you go through. So they start giving you a lot of weightage. Suddenly, somewhere the ego starts growing. This is the Maya aspect of mother. I'm doing all this sadhanas. I do this, I had the darshan of this. It's extremely important to be completely rooted. And that happens when Saraswati is playing the veena. And therefore, we are able to analyze a situation. Like yesterday's episode, the experience with Amisha that I posted in the group, right? That is the devotion of a 7-year-old now. When right from her second year, she would come sit next to me when I'm doing puja. I would turn to Bala Tripur Sundari and say, Mother, I want to touch your feet. And out of nowhere, this cute girl will come dressed like a Bala Tripur Sundari, and sit next to me, allowing me to touch her feet. So the experiences will come and go just like the flowing air, but we should not be stuck there. Sometimes they'll be good, sometimes they'll be scary, sometimes they'll be beautiful, sometimes they're blissful. Scary not because mother wants to scare us, scary because when your mind or my mind is conditioned with that fear, right? And therefore, until I win over that fear, mother will keep training me like a father or a mother trains their kids on a cycle with balance wheels. Once the balance is being accomplished, they'll remove one balance wheel. The kid will still go with another balance wheel. After some time, they'll remove the balance wheels, and the kid is able to cycle the bicycle without any balances. Same thing happens in our spiritual journeys as well. Mother will continue to give some experiences to win over these fears that we have. Oh, if I go to a dark room, maybe there's a bhuta or pisacha. There's no bigger bhuta or pisacha than human. Nobody can do anything to us. Okay. Then we have fears. What will happen? You have no control on what happens. You can't control your breath. What are you talking about controlling other things? Right? So realize your limitations. Realize the infinite mercy that mother has in realizing, helping us realize our reality. Therefore, we understand what is my journey ahead. We should not get dejected and disappointed because we have kilometers, thousands of kilometers to go. The transformation happens in a split second. Like Yogi Vamana, who used to go to a prostitute called Vishwada every day. And one day, he's a great tantric, by the way, Yogi Vamana, who has given very simple shlokas in no understandable Telugu, 100 shlokas, Vamana Satakam, we call. He says, Gangi Go Palu Gartadaina Chalu. That typically translates to one day, people realize Yogi Vemana has become a Siddha, Vema Reddy, right? He was a landlord. He has become a Siddha, and if he eats any fruit, any offering from anybody, then whoever has offered, he or she will become, their family will become rich, is what the message that goes into the village. Everybody brings fruits, sweets, Panchabhaksha Parvanas, the delicacies they bring. Then Yogi Vamana, along with his friend Abhirama, Abhirama is a Brahmin, a great friend and devotee of Vema Reddy. And Vema gets out of his meditation and tells Abhiram, I'm hungry today. And everybody is excited. Everybody is standing in lines, holding their gold plates, steel plates, covered with, silk fabric covering the food, so no insects and dust fall. Vema, Vemana walks through the line, and there is a beggar sitting at the last of the line. She is begging because there's crowd. She does not know there is Yogi Vemana here. And Vemana crosses everyone and goes to her, sits in front of her and says, Ava, oh, grandmother, I'm very hungry. I haven't eaten in the last 3 days. Can you please give me some food? Then that blind beggar says, you are blessed. She does not know who this person is. She says, you are blessing me. Today, this beggar is able to give food to another beggar. She thought Vama is a beggar. And are you sure you want to eat this food? Because this food tastes very stale. And in order to make it tasty, I have an old pickle. She mixes pickle into that stale curd rice, which is very watery, and feeds it to him. And he eats. And she says, no, he tells her, Ava, why don't you look at me? She says, I'm blind. I can't look at you. Then he asks her, do you want to look at me? She says, how will I get eyes? And I'm born blind. And he keeps his hands on her eyes. She gets the vision. And then everybody realizes that, how great Siddha, this once a person who used to go to a prostitute every day, how his life has transformed. So what happens with Vema's story is he used to love his brother's daughter. She passes away at a very young age with a fever. Vamana goes to get medicine by bartering the gold that they have. And in the evening, he becomes addicted to going to this place of Vishvada where he would have bodily pleasures. And the evening, when he goes out to get the medicine, he forgets that he needs to get the medicine. He thinks that the girl will survive. And by the time he returns home in the morning, the girl is no more. And then he goes to the graveyard with the girl's body. He cries, saying, where did this life go? Where did what does that mean? When the body is turned into ashes, how can she endure? I cannot even endure when I touch a gentle flame. How is she able to not cry when the body is being burnt? What left the body? Therefore, we are calling it a dead body. And he sat in the graveyard and prayed on that niru, that nirvik rupa, nirvikalpa, right? There is no kalpam, there's no rupam, and prayed. And then he went into the Shiva's temple and prayed to that Shivalingam, saying, what is this Maya? Where are people coming from? Where are they going after death? What is all this happening? Shiva comes in the form of Guru and reveals the Raja Yoga and Tantra to Yogi Vamana. Vamareddy turns into Yogi Vamana. Okay, that's how long it takes for a transformation to come through our way, provided we continue to make efforts. Yeah. Vipanchya gayanti vividam apadanam pashupate tvaya rabde vaktum chalita sirasa sadhu vachane tadiye madhurye. So when Saraswati Devi is chanting the Shiva Leelas, oh, this is how Indra and others came and asked your husband not to unite with you physically because both of you are Mahabhutas, Mahapranas. If a kid is being born to you, how would he or she be? Therefore, Indra asked, And then you became angry mother and you cursed all the gods that you will never be able to become parents anymore. Therefore, the number of gods has remained constant, right? 33 kotlu, 33 crores. There's a spiritual significance that we'll discuss in some other classes, but that's the reason that number remained constant. But the actual meaning of Subramanya Jananam is in us. Shiva is in the form of yogi in the Sahasratalam, and Shakti is in the form of Kundalini at the bottom of the spine. So both are separated by these chakras in between. And Indra, the god of organs, is going to Shiva and saying, please don't unite. You and mother don't unite. In why Indra is going to Shiva? Because Indra is the king of gods, Shiva is the emperor of gods. Okay. Sarvabhauma Devata, in Sri Saila Suprabhatam you say Sri Saila Devata Sarvabhauma to Shiva, and therefore king goes to emperor and says please don't do that. Means let him or her continue to enjoy their karmas the way they have done. Please don't make them Brahmagyanis. Then Shiva, being the father he still wants to invoke the Brahmagyanatva in us. So he drops his Amrita Bindus, which is his semen. That continues to go from Sahasratalam to Agya Chakram to Vishuddhi, Vishuddhi to Anahatam, Anahatam to um, Manipuram, Manipuram to Swadhisthana. At Swadhisthana, which is the chakra of water, Jala Adipati, because that's where the reproductive fluids are also produced. What carries Shiva is represented by Agni. So Agni carries Shiva's semen across. Therefore, Subramanya is called Pavaki. Agni takes it and hands it over to Ganga. Where is Ganga? Ganga is the goddess of water in Swadhisthana Chakram. In Swadhisthana Chakram, Agni has handed over to Ganga. Therefore, Subramanya is also called Gangeya. When Ganga takes, she is not able to. And therefore, she lands this with Saravana Bhavatatakam, which is the lotus filled Muladhara Chakram, where mother is. And without the union of mother or father, whether it's inside the womb or outside, right? Like we have test tube babies now. So Subramanya was born outside. Yeah. And therefore, Subramanya is born in the petals. And this Subramanya, who is born and rules our Swadhisthana Chakram, where the lotus of Muladhara has opened up below Swadhisthana Chakram, he is being breastfed by the Kritikas, 6 Kritikas. Who are those 6 Kritikas? Kama, Krodha, Mada, Matsarya, Lobha, Mohasinas. When he is drinking their milk, just like Krishna who drank the poisonous milk of Putana and extracted out the life along with poison, and then Putana got moksham. Subramanya, when he is drinking the milk of Kama, Krodha, Mada, Matsarya, Lobha, Mohas with his 6 heads, he is removing the animal instincts in us and enforcing them with the divine instincts. Until Subramanya is born, the asura in us, the animal instincts in us, are at Tataka. Tarakastai means the height of the stars. Very, very intense. Therefore, Tarakasura is nobody else other than you and me. And Tarakasura is saying, let the Brahmagyanam in this person wake up. When the mother at the bottom of Kundalini and the father at the top, if they unite only, no, then somebody can kill me. But this person will never make any effort of Brahmagyanam. So I will continue to have the Asuri Pravritti. So Subramanya Jananam is not something that happens somewhere. It happens in us, every one of us. And therefore, Subramanya Jananam is extremely important. Only when Subramanya is born, he drinks the milk of the Kama, Krodha, Mada, Matsarya, Lobha, Mohas and removes the poison. He kills the Asuras in us that are at Tarakastai, including Bandasura. Okay, therefore, how would he kill Bandasura? Because Subramanya is Deva Senadpati. Okay, he is the commander of chief, and therefore he helps Varahi Devi, who is the commander of chief of armed forces of Lalita Devi, by going and attacking the Bandasura. Okay, we will talk the 65th slokam a little more again in next class briefly, but to conclude the class today, when Mother Saraswati is singing the glories of Shiva, Lalita Devi is moving her head See, sometimes when you listen to Carnatic music or any music that you deeply enjoy, you close your eyes and you keep moving. This is what Tyagaraja Swami said, Nada Tanumanisham Shankaram, right? Shiva is the Nadam. Om, the Brahmari Nadam. Okay? When you chant the Nadam, everybody starts becoming calm. Now, when you enjoy the music, you start moving because your internal rhythm, your internal beats become one with the physical. Therefore, mother is moving listening to this and she says, Sabash, what a beautiful story. What a miraculous thing my husband has done. Okay. My husband went after he gave a varam to Bhasmasura. Wait a minute. He is Ishanam Sarvavidyanam Ishwaram Sarvabhutanam Brahmadipati Brahmanodipati Brahma Shivo me astu Sadashivam. He knows everyone. He knows every being. He is the dweller of everyone. So would he not know Bhasmasura would ask for a boon where using that boon Bhasmasura will try to burn Shiva himself? Shiva can't be burned because he is fire himself. In Astamurti Tattva, Agni Lingam at Arunachalam is the fire itself. So what joke is that when Bhasmasura wants to? But as a father, he wants to give pleasure to the kids. So he acts as if he is feared. Then what happened? Mohini avataram of my brother, he did the Aim Bijaksharam and borrowed my feminine Rupam, Bhasma Mohini. So my brother went and killed the Mohini. In turn, what did my husband do? He acted fear and gave credit to my brother. What a brother in law my husband is. Very good. Then what happened? That is Bhasma Mohini. Then Vishwa Mohini. When my brother took the Mohini avataram, he revealed his bodily organs of a woman that will distract men and therefore gave Amritam only to gods. And when Rahu and Ketu did not come into these lustful attractions or distractions, tried drinking, he immediately took the Vishnu avataram and killed them. Oh, this is Vishwamohini Rupam. Then my husband, who was there when the milk of ocean was being churned, what did he drink? He drank poison and went away. He did not wait for other things. Then, when I came back and other kids came back home, they said, do you know, father, there are there are Airavata that came, there is Uchchaishwarya that has come. He was listening to them as if he does not know anything. Then they said, do you know, Vishnu Mama came in a form of Mohini. It's so beautifully, seductively attractive that even we, knowing it is Vishnu Mama, could not take our eyes off of it. That's how distracting it was. Shiva said, oh, really? I never saw such form. Then he says, Mother, let's go to your brother's place. I want to see. So he goes to Vaikuntham and Vishnu and others stand up and take his blessing, saying, what brings Mahayogi to the Bhogapuram Vaikuntham? He said, hey, brother in law, I heard you have taken this Mohini Rupam. Can you show it to me? Immediately, Vishnu says, okay, give me 1 minute. I will. And then the whole season changes to Vasanta Rutu, romantic climate. And there's a beautiful song that is being heard in a beautiful voice. And when Shiva is looking, Parvati, Mother Goddess Parvati is next to him. Shiva is looking in the garden. There's a beautiful young woman, very, very full of youth, right? Revealing body, is singing this song. Shiva, who is a yogi, is who has burnt Manmada, is now running with lust to unite with this Mohini. What a joke. Why would a yogi run after beautiful women, especially after this is no ordinary yogi, the one who has burnt Manmada into ashes, right? So he moved with Kamagni. When Mahagni moved with Kamagni, why? Ayappa had to be born, Harihara Putra Ayappa, to kill Mahishi. Okay. So whatever father does, there is the Loka Kalyanam. And we can't apply our own logic. So these are when being explained by Saraswati, mother is looking at the essence saying, what a selfless man my husband has been. When everybody wanted the Amritam, the Uchchaishwarya, what did he get? He only gets all the rejects. Where does he dwell? He is called Smasanavasi, where nobody wants to go. He says, eventually, my dear son and daughter, you have to come here. This is the only goal that you share with everybody else who has come to this world. But even your family that loved you, hugged you, kissed you, will disown you the moment your body is put. In next 1 2 hours, your body will be left burned down to ashes. Your soul becomes extremely dejected, saying, did I waste my time for these people all these years without doing anything else? I ran after material riches. I never did anything for my soul. Today, when my soul has left the body and walking back, I am going with two suitcases, one papam, one punyam. My papam suitcase is extremely heavy. My punyam suitcase is very light. I had never took time to invest in my spiritual soul's bank balance. What have I done? And he feels, or the soul feels very dejected. When he turns around, there is Shiva there, the father saying, I am there for you, my son. Okay, I will show you on how you can progress like I've shown you infinite number of times before, but I don't give up on you because I'm your father. I know you will improve, if not in this lifetime, next lifetime, if not next lifetime, the life after. But I don't give up on you, so don't give up on yourself. And he holds us hand and walks us ahead. That is the reason he and mother are called Avyaja Karunamurti, right? No, this is what happens. And listening to all of this, she moves her head and saying, Sabash. The moment a word comes out of her mouth, Saraswati immediately stops the veena. Vinir Bhaksita Kachapi. Kachapi is the name of Mother Goddess Saraswati's veena, and covers it, saying, my veena has been playing for so long. It did not come. I struggled to get Veena's name. Now, suddenly see how mother took me to Lalita Sahasranamam, and I was thinking Vipanchi, Vipanchi, Vipancha Gayanti of the starting of the Soundarya Slokam. But she brought us to the Lalita Sahasranamam, Vinir Bhaksita Kachapi, and reminded me, saying, my dear son, Kachapi is the name of the Saraswati Veena that you're struggling to get. Your thoughts, your Para Pashanti Madhyama Vaikari are to be aligned, and she brought that name. These are the live examples that we can live through. Everybody lives through, not just me, right? We just have to tune into those frequencies of mother genuinely, and she will start functioning with us. And when Saraswati stops the veena, the reason she stops is the music that veena is producing is being dwarfed with one word of mother, which is much more mellifluent, much more sweet to listen. Therefore, she stops, which means when we stop our conditioning of the world with the knowledge, the certificates, with the material riches that we got, the society around us shapes us, the family that we live with shape us. So we tend to pretend to be someone that we are not. We don't try to be authentic self. Okay, we think, what will they say about me? What will they think about me? And this conditioning that our capabilities bring is the story of Dakshayagna Vinasam that we'll discuss in the next class, or I'll record next week, and I'll be traveling again. So next two classes will not have, I'll try to record in post. Daksha is, once he has the capability, he forgets Shiva and does the Nirishwara Yagam. Saying, these are all my skills and capabilities. What did Shiva do? He only dwells in Smasana, right? Being the father of Shakti, where she is called Sati. And then Virabhadra, the Ugra Rupa, like Ugra Kali is there. Ugra Kali is accompanied by Virabhadra. Virabhadra is a ferocious form of Shiva, and he comes and severs the head. And then Chamakam has come, Om Cham Chame Maistame, we did. He keeps repeating me, saying, for everything I used to say, I am the one, I am the one, I am the one. But I realized, Om Sham Chame, you, not I. It is all because of you, right? Therefore, it's extremely important for us to understand that if we are able to function and raise our hand and say, I, it's because you are functioning in me. I can say, this is mine, this is, I am doing it. You are making me do these things and attributing the credit to me. That's what this slokam means. The tongue of the mother is being represented here to show that one, the Mahapativrata that she is continues to chant her husband's names, Leela. She is doing japam on her husband's Omkara Rupam, the Bindu, the center of Sri Chakram. Therefore, her tongue always remains red and never accrues any you know um, any malam on it to for it to be cleaned, and therefore it is always a red, like hibiscus or a mandara holds on to a murti. Your tongue is holding on to the Divya Murti, Mangala Murti of Shiva's Namam, right? Because all the sounds have come from Shiva's Damaru, Maheshwara Sutras, and your husband is the source of all sounds, and that is the sound that you are constantly repeating. And when in the 65th slokam we discuss that she is giving tambulam, we should envision that tambulam is being fed to us. When she feeds the tambulam to us, 66th slokam, Saraswati in us starts to function because at the tip of the tongue of mother, Saraswati is there. When she is taking out the tambulam or food as prasadam, the tongue tip will also touch, which means Saraswati is touching it. Therefore, Saraswati in us will start functioning. When Saraswati starts functioning, the conditioning that we have put, society has put, our family has put, saying this is good, this is bad, this is ugly, we'll start breaking them. We will not judge anyone. First, we will not judge ourselves. When you don't judge yourselves, you will become confident and authentic not to judge others. Because who are you and I to judge others? All right. We have to first get over ourselves. How do I look? All these looks, all these physical things will all stay back in this world, will turn into ashes. The body turns into ashes. The material riches that you have, property that you have in your name gets transferred to someone, bank balance that you have in your name gets transferred to someone. You have to pass them on. But when you get up from your physical body and walk, there are only two suitcases that will come with your papas and punyas that you have done. So, what is that you are doing on yourself? Make hay while sun shines. This is what the Shava Sadhana in Tantra means. One day, you will also become an empty vessel like this. Did you make empty vessels make much noise? Were you just an empty vessel that made noise? Or were you the flute in Krishna's hand that created mellifluous music, calling all the animals, all the cows were attracted to Krishna? What is that you are becoming? Choose yourself wisely. And your comparison should always be with your own self and nobody else, because all of us are made in limited quantities and there is nobody else who is you. So the best thing that you can do is invest your time in yourself. No comparison, no jealousy, kama, krodha, mada, matsarya, lobha, mohas. All these six when offered to Subramanya, right? That's the reason we say Saravana Bhava, his Bija mantra. When you are chanting Saravana Bhava, Saravana Bhava, Saravana Bhava, you are feeding kama, krodha, mada, matsarya, lobhas to Subramanya. Therefore, he will eat the Asuri Pravritti containing the Tarakasura, and therefore he will ensure the divine elements in us continue to grow, and therefore we realize our true potential. This is a brief attempt. Sorry, I have taken a long time of yours today. I didn't realize the time. I was just flowing. And we will conclude with Mangala Sasnam now. Mangalam Guru Sri Chandramaulishwarage Shakti Ganapati Sharadambige Shankaracharyanige Kala Bhairavage Kali Durgige Veeradhira Sura Hanuma Maruti Charanage Mangalam Guru Sri